As previously mentioned, I began to realize that there were numerous scientific facts that, directly or indirectly, contradict the theory of evolution, or at least contradict the stories that we have been told about the theory. So I asked the question, if that is true, then why is the theory pushed so hard by the schools, universities, and the general media? I just figured that in some cases, it may be because they do not know the facts. After all, that is what we have been told all of our lives. And that was certainly my experience. But I realize that in some instances, it is pushed for philosophical or religious reasons. With some research, it was determined that communism, Marxism, socialism, including the Nazis, and extreme leftists such as progressives rely heavily on atheism for a philosophical and religious base. Atheism has been deemed a religion by the Supreme Court decades ago. And the theory of evolution seems to be the very foundation for most atheists. Realizing evolution contradicts science in literally dozens of ways, I then figured that the theory must be placed in the category of religion, that is, metaphysical. That is because it takes immense amounts of faith to believe something that is scientifically impossible, since no one has ever seen it occur and there are so many contradictions with science. To be fair, the belief in a supernatural creation also takes faith. But more often than not, evolution is classified as science, and the belief in a supernatural creation is classified as a religion. Cancel that. We have seen in the last few years that anyone with differing views from the media, certain politicians, and political groups are simply censored or canceled in those media outlets, as well as much of social media. After all, if you can cancel your competitor, you can't lose the debate because there's no longer a debate. Long before the global warming dispute, the COVID debacle, and the tech platform cancellations, evolutionists eliminated any discussion by canceling any debate on the subject of origins, that is, evolution versus creationism or intelligent design. This cancellation occurred many decades ago. There have actually been a few debates, but even many evolutionists admit that the evolutionists tend to lose these debates, so now they are almost non-existent. And naturally, this act of cancellation is just the opposite of true science. Let's take a look at Albert Einstein. How did he approach science? He would introduce his scientific laws and theories to the scientific community and the public and challenge them to come up with things that would disprove his theories. In other words, prove me wrong. He preferred complete investigation at the beginning so that it would be proved wrong immediately instead of years later. This is simply part of appropriate scientific method. From my observations, it seems that, generally speaking, evolutionists have done just the opposite. They have attempted to eliminate the enemy, eliminating or canceling those that disagree with them instead of welcoming the scrutiny. They have also formed a heads I win, tails you lose scenario so that their explanations cover their bases, no matter what the scientific evidence shows. In other words, no matter what the scientific evidence is, they have an explanation so that it fits their hypothesis. As a result, nothing can disprove the theory. For example, if human artifacts or fossils are discovered in the Earth's layers or the strata that dinosaur fossils are found in, these fossils are merely labeled as misplaced artifacts or misplaced fossils. No real scientific explanation is given, just a phrase that excuses the problem. And yes, large numbers of these so-called misplaced human artifacts and fossils have been discovered with dinosaur fossils in layers that are supposed to be over 100 million years old. And humans have supposedly evolved in just the last few 100,000 years. There is no plausible scientific explanation for these so-called misplaced fossils. But the so-called misplaced fossil label is supposed to make the explanation sound scientific. Thus, the heads I win, tails you lose scenario, no matter what evidence is discovered. This example is simply one of dozens of such scientific inconsistencies that are merely explained away with stories or excuses. Generally, the flaws in the theory have not been widely challenged, at least publicly, for decades. By and large, evolution deniers are put into the category of flat earthers, kooks, or conspiracy theorists, and simply ignored. As a result, contradictions to the theory of evolution are left out of textbooks, science journals, and other publications. And the stories that contradict science are left in. I am not trying to complain about the bias, although it sounds like that is exactly what I am doing. I am just emphasizing the fact that all of us must search out alternative, unofficial publications in order to discover the truth regarding this theory. As a result, these defects in the theory remained largely unchallenged. The very problems that Darwin himself admitted had to be answered never were. So, what causes scientists to ignore science? First is religious or philosophical bias, which bleeds into politics. But close behind is follow the money, as well as power. Grants and recognition seem to be given only to those that believe in the theory of evolution. Those that believe in intelligent design or supernatural creation were mostly left out in the cold. But to be honest, the theory of evolution was just the beginning of the so-called cancellation and censorship many decades ago. But by no means has it been the only subject that would cause scientists to ignore science. Man-made global warming was the next major push. We will look at this plus another one in the next lesson. If you like the information in this lesson, please share it with your friends.